here.
Shalom everyone, and thank you for coming to celebrate this special day with my family and me. My Torah portion is Shlach Lecha in the book of Numbers, or in Hebrew, Bamidbar. Shlach Lecha is mostly about having strong faith in God. The story begins after Moses had already led the Israelites out of the land of Egypt, and God is offering the land of Canaan to the Israelite people. Before leading the people into the promised land, and to be sure the new land was safe and fit for living, Moses sent 12 men, each representing one of Israel's ancestral tribes, to scout out the promised land. They went on to survey the land and found it to be filled with big fruit trees, healthy grounds, and breathtaking natural beauty. It had everything our people needed to survive and flourish. For 40 days, the scouts explored the land, and then they each returned to Moses with stories and samples they had picked. However, they said to Moses, the men living there were strong and frightening. The scouts were scared and told Moses, these people are powerful, and we shall not find place amongst them in the land of Canaan. Hearing this, the rest of the Israelites grew shocked as well, and were scared to go into Canaan, even though God had promised them the land. All but 2 scouts, the faithful Joshua and Caleb, were convinced this enemy is too mighty for the Israelites. The scouts looked at the size of the enemy, but they forgot God's words and actions. This lack of faith demonstrated by the 10 scouts infuriated God. After all he has done for the Israelite people, from terrorizing Pharaoh to getting them out of slavery and through the sea, why do they not have faith in me? Why must they be scared? The parashah tells that God was disappointed and angry, and God therefore declared this generation of Israelites would never live to make it to the land of Canaan. Only the next generation will be allowed entry into Canaan. Still angered, God decided the Israelites must sacrifice much of their food to prove that they believe in him and his words, and that they are worthy of him. Later on in the parashah, the Israelites see a man who appears to be collecting wood on Shabbat. Not knowing what to do, they ask God. God, again still, is very angry and commands the people to kill the man by stoning him. Boy, is God tough or what? I mean, my dad drives and eats pork on the Sabbath. I hope he doesn't get stoned. As I stated earlier, all but 2 scouts, Joshua and Caleb, had no faith in God, and believed the men in Canaan were too big and powerful to defeat. Joshua and Caleb told Moses and the Israelites their beliefs. Haaretz asher avarenu balatur ota, tova haaretz meod meod. Im chafetz banu Adonai, vehevi otanu el haaretz hazot venetana lanu eretz. Asher hu zavad chalav udvash, which means, the land that we traversed and scouted is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into that land, a land that flows with milk and honey, and give it to us. This part of the parashah teaches us the importance of having personal convictions. A conviction is a very strong belief, a belief that guides and leads you throughout life. Joshua and Caleb had a very strong belief in God. When he promised the land to the Israelites, these 2 men followed, and were not scared to fight the men in Canaan, because they believed God would keep the Israelites safe. Joshua and Caleb had such strong belief in God, they would never question anything he said or did. Faith was a conviction, and God will always be there when help is needed. The Torah is not necessarily meant to be taken literally. However, it can teach us very important lessons that we can apply to our own lives. Lessons that, just like Joshua and Caleb, all people have convictions, and they do not all relate to religion. They may not be the same as Joshua's, but we do all have them. One of my convictions is that everyone, and I mean everyone no matter what, is equal. Whether you're a woman or black, Hispanic or white, homosexual, heterosexual, handicapped, immigrant, Muslim or atheist, short, Jewish, or blonde, I very strongly believe that everyone is equal. Not any one of those groups is better or worse than another. Another one of my convictions is that everybody, rich or poor, young or old, should have the opportunity to get an education. Education is immensely important today, more than ever, in our pursuit for happiness and the well-being of our families. It is up to the future generation, us, to make sure our society prospers and our communities are well prepared for the challenges of the future. For if we are not, only God knows what will happen. Our present-day children must be educated enough to get jobs and build strong, joyful families, and do whatever their heart desires. Also, I have a conviction that families should always stand up for one another. Families should have happiness, respect, and strong support for one another. Unfortunately, there are people out there without a family. Therefore, we must recognize it's a privilege to have a loving and caring family. A family that will always help you. As a family, we go through so much, from birth to celebrations, from rough times to happy times, and I very strongly believe that families are what makes it worthwhile, and it should stay this way. One of my favorite quotes is from Lilo and Stitch, a children's cartoon about a young Hawaiian girl, Lilo, and her best friend Stitch, an alien learning about our world. The quote goes, "Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind." I have another conviction. If someone needs help, then I should always help him or her out without doubt. I would like Earth to be one big happy family, and if your family needs help, then you should always offer it. Another conviction I have is that you should treat everyone the way you want to be treated. How do you like it when someone treats you unfairly for no reason? You probably don't like it. So would you go up and do the same exact thing to someone else, knowing that you wouldn't want it to happen to you? I believe the answer to that should be no. Doing that might be giving up the person a taste of their own medicine, but it is also causing more trouble that we should all be trying to prevent. I may be naive, but that is what I believe. Another one of my convictions is that everyone should feel special and loved, not lonely. When we look around at our grandparents and other seniors, I know they appreciate it so much when young people make them happy, and I love to see anyone happy. It's just the smile on his or her face that makes me feel like I've accomplished something and made someone's day better. Because I love doing this so much, for my bat mitzvah project, I decided to visit nursing homes and perform a brief skit. In a skit, I am playing an elderly woman named Shirley, and I tell about my Broadway past with my husband Walter, who loves coleslaw. There's a saying that you should always respect your elders, and I think that we most definitely should. Elders are very experienced and wise people, and sometimes I feel they don't get very much appreciation because their generation is so different from us. So the reason I chose to go to a nursing home was to show these people that they are very much appreciated, especially by today's educated children. Performing is extremely special to me, so special that whenever I have a performance, I practice and prepare all the time. For the performance at the nursing home, I practiced non-stop, and I even went out and purchased costumes and learned the right keys for the songs beforehand. I really wanted this performance to be perfect. When we arrived at the East Brunswick nursing home, I was a little nervous, and I was glad a few good friends and my family came with me. When I finished each skit at the nursing homes, I felt I made the residents feel happy and loved. I remember when I came out each time, the smiles on their faces were just so big, which made me smile too. I also remember my own grandma's smile. She was so proud of what I was doing. Later that night, I was watching the video my mom made of the performance when I noticed something that made me smile again. I was changing into my next costume, and residents were in the main room talking. They said, "It's so great to see the young people these days." This made me feel amazing, like I had really done something to make at least one person's life better, happier. After this experience, I feel as though I've learned so much. I was reminded that performing is always fun. It doesn't matter whom the audience is, young, old, or really old and sleeping. All anyone wants is to be entertained, and I'm happy to say that all I want is to entertain. Then, in the end, my performance was perfect. This taught me that practice does make perfect, that when you give to others, you also give and grow yourself, and that people appreciate one another and always want to be entertained. I'm so glad that I got to live out one of my convictions and bring joy to everyone. Thank you all so much for making the effort and coming here today to share this special day with me. I feel blessed and hope you all enjoy this day.